YouTube, Melina here, and today I'm sharing another apartment renovation. This apartment is for my Not So Berry challenge. It is the apartment for Generation Rose. So I'm going to go ahead and read the rules of the general challenge, and then I will read the rules for Generation Rose. So, basic rules. Each house must represent the color of the generation. In this case, it's Generation Rose. I used red. I saw a lot of people use like pinkish color, but I used a combination of a light pink, like a light pink, and then a strong red. Okay, so that includes hair, makeup, clothing, but brightly colored skin is not necessary. These are not actually berry sims. That's the joke. That's what the rules say. Number two, the colors of the spouse don't matter as they aren't part of the challenge. Okay, money cheats can be used but not excessively. Suggestion, use free real estate for your first home but no cheats after. Okay, you may live wherever you please unless something is specified in the rules of the generation. Every generation is supposed to complete both the career and aspiration of the heir unless explicitly stated otherwise. Keep the lifespan on normal. If you play this challenge and want to share it with us, go ahead and post with hashtag not so berry so we can see. Okay, so Generation Rose, you had everything you desired as a child, but you were always longing for more. As an adult, you have a hard time committing to a relationship as you are so focused on your career. If we had a workaholic trait in The Sims 4, you would have it. You have absolutely no maternal instinct whatsoever, but you still love your child with all your heart. Your traits are hot headed, snob, and romantic. Aspiration, serial romance, and career is the politician. So the rules for Rose are have only one child, master the politician career, and complete serial romance aspiration. Master charisma skill, leave someone at the altar. Interaction wedding on during available. Sorry, an interaction available during a wedding. Get married for the first time as an elder. Okay, so those are the rules for Generation Rose. As you can see, I'm following through with the rules. My sim actually wears a lot of red. She's very fair skinned, which is, she came out like her dad. Her mom is very tans and dark skin and brown hair. Her dad was blonde with green eyes and really fair skin. So Generation Rose, actually, she was born with really fair skin, really blonde hair. She just has her mother's brown eyes. That's the only thing she inherited from her mom. And also her mother's like very beautiful features. When I created Mindy, which is my Generation Mint character, I went all out with her and I fell super in love with her to the point of when it was finally over and she was an elder, I was still playing her to the end, and I was so sad when she passed. Like in my gameplay, I have her husband who became a vampire in my storyline because when you play the game, things happen and you just like, "Ooh, I want this to happen. Ooh, I want that to happen." So he became a vampire. So now he sought her out, and we're trying to bring her back to life. I'm working on the ambrosia recipe at the moment. So I'm trying to bring her back because I really miss her. Um, so here in this apartment, we moved Raquel, which is my Generation Rose character. As I was saying, she wears a lot of red lipstick, red shirts, red outfits. Everything is red. I've changed her hair a lot during each phase of her life. So when she was young, it was really long because it's really beautiful and blonde. When she became older and she became a mom, it got shorter. As her career advanced, her hair became shorter too, and I changed her hairstyle according to like her uniforms for work. So at one point, it's like really short pixie cut, and it's super cute. But I definitely went all out with the red theme from the time she was like a toddler. I even like found red outfits for toddlers that were cute, not too much where they look like, oh, that doesn't suit the child. So she was very cute, always wearing red. And so this apartment, I decided to move her into the city. Her mom originally was living in Willow Creek, but then once once she started working, which she started working immediately, And I felt like she should have moved into Oasis Springs because she was working in the desert. So we moved them to the desert, and I gave her a more modern looking home, which was a combination of mint and rose in that apartment. So we had a lot of furniture that were like both. So it was her and her daughter's apartment house. So I had did a combination, which I do also in this one. In my original build, because this is the second time I'm building this apartment, the first time I didn't share because we were on a budget and I didn't want it to be like when I built the second home for Mindy, she was on a budget as well and I couldn't fully furnish it. So I don't think I might have shared that one briefly, but that was when I was sharing the Let's Plays, which I was unhappy with the recordings. So I deleted them because I wasn't editing them and the audio was really terrible. So I decided actually in turn, instead of sharing my Let's Play or my playthrough of the challenge, that I would just share the homes that I'll create for them that I think that suit each character. So Mindy in her second home, she had a lot of the science career objects that you earn through advancing in the career in her home, like around her home, and she even had like a basement where I put the stuff. Um, because she had a baby around, and we didn't want the kid to get into all that, into all those things. So she had like a separate room divided in her house. And then I want to do the same for Generation Yellow once I finally get to their builds. In my gameplay, Generation Yellow is actually already all grown up, and we're already birthing Generation Gray, which I'm really excited about. I'm having a lot of fun with Generation Yellow. I had twins for them, so Rose is meant to only have one child. She had twins, and so I have them as each other's best friends because the Generation Yellow is meant to be close to their grandparent, but because Mindy had her daughter Raquel at such an advanced age, so she was already an adult when we had her. I started playing her as a young adult, and then um, once she was an adult, I was like, holy moly, because it's on a normal lifespan. So um, she grew up really fast, and which was fine because you don't really pay too much attention to it when you're like focused. When you have the focus that the rules give you, you have to like achieve these things, and you're chasing after them. So it's not even like on my mind to have kids. I'm just like trying to focus on her career because I was so nervous that I couldn't make it on a normal lifespan. Like I wouldn't get through and complete everything I was supposed to complete. So when she turned into an adult, we got her man, which you're allowed to create like a spouse for your sim. So I did for her because I'm very picky. Like sometimes when your sims have babies with um, NPC characters in the game, they come out like the default characters do when you do cast. Like their weight, like if it's a female, their waist is really slender and they're like unusually thin, and I don't like that too much. I like to widen them out a little bit, a lot actually, in comparison. I usually widen the female's hips a lot, depending if she's like feminine or if she's like a little bit, depending on how I see the character, I'll like widen the hips or shrink the shoulders, make them slender and small. But yeah, so when you do with the default characters, the kids come out like the game produces. But if you have someone like specifically created with a certain body type, then they'll like take one of the traits from that, which is always better because I'm very particular about how my Sims bodies look. I don't do that whole your waist or your hips are practically not there, your bust is like all there, but you don't have like a waist or hips. Like that's too cartoony for me. Very, I don't like the way it looks. I like them to have some waist, you gotta have some hips. And the funny thing is that I usually put the bust on a female very small, but I like on a male, I'll make his chest really wide or something. But for the female, I put the bust really small. It's just my style anyway. So yeah, I have my twins, and I was a little nervous about what to do with them, but I'm getting through. I just have both of them doing the same aspiration, and they have both the same traits. Since they're meant to have been close to their grandma, she wasn't there, so because I had twins, it was fine. They have each other, so that's how I'm playing it. Another thing I was going to mention, I can't remember what I was going to mention. I think I was saying about how I built this here. So we built it in the city because in Mindy was living in Oasis Spring. She worked in a science career, and that's like in a desert. The facility's in a desert area, so that's why I moved her there. But politicians, for the politician career, you run around in the city a lot, especially if you go to work with your sim. So because of that, I thought it made more sense for us to just move into the city. Like I'm playing it like it'll be a better commute for her. Like that's just kind of the things I had in mind. Especially because when I was playing, I was very limited in where I was letting my sim go. She wasn't excessively rich. Mindy wasn't anyway, so she could only go to certain places. The only way she would leave, like for example, Willow Creek to go to like Windenburg, is if someone invited her. But I had like this whole thought out thing, like you go to here, from here you get to here, from here you go there, and like that's just the way I was like, these things are connected this way, and so if you make a trip, like you would have to get like on a serious like bus or something. So so that's how I played my game. So we moved Raquel to the city, and it's been easier because I don't have to wait for the loading screen when I like attend work with her, or when I did attend work with her, because I'm already done with her career. I actually also turned her character into a vampire because in my gameplay, I imagined since her mom passed away while she was still so young, that she became really close with her dad, even though her dad wasn't around. Like he didn't live with her as from a baby to like to like a child stage. He moved in with them when she was already like almost a teenager and married her mom finally. So that's how that went. And then Mindy aged up, and once she aged up into an elder, I was trying to save her dad character. So I moved. He kept on having this wish to become a vampire. So I eventually turned him into a vampire once Mindy became an elder, because he was still like a young adult. The reason why that happened was because I had his character as an active sim, so his household wasn't advancing, it wasn't aging up, and then I realized that like too late. So anyway, I saved his character. I'm in love with the way his character looks. I'm just like, oh, got a crush on you. So I'm like, I saved his character, and now that I've completed everything with Rose, with Generation Rose, I have turned her into a vampire as well. The only thing I won't be completing with her is to get married as an elder, because now she's an adult and she's been turned into a vampire. So I think that's gonna stop her from aging for quite a while. Her dad's like, she went from a young adult to adult, and she's like, I think she was becoming close to getting into an elder. So I thank goodness that I like was able to complete her politician career, like get to the highest level. Otherwise, I would not have been able to turn her into a vampire, and I would have definitely married her as an elder. I did do the leave someone at the altar with her, and it was like we went to the romance festival, and she just had like, since she's such an emotional person, she did heat of the moment engagement, and they went to the altar, and then for her she was just like, oh no 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 no, I can't do this, I can't do this. Like this wasn't the guy. So my story for her is that she, even though yes she goes around and she like constantly seeking new adventure, new romance, new experience, There's this redheaded sim that she has just been with since spotted him. So even though she like goes back and forth with like her first love, and then she finds new love, and then but she always comes back to him. Like something about him just draws him back, and I think it's because his character also has that desire to continue growing, and he's also always chasing after new things. So he doesn't like he's not on top of her too much. And that I kept thinking like why like I really like the character that I designed, the redheaded character that I designed. Um and I really wanted her to marry him as an elder. Um so I just was like I have to maintain this relationship. That's the only way that I can get them to get married is if I maintain the relationship. But I kept thinking why would she keep going back to him? Sure, his hair is red and she loves the color red and redheads are gorgeous. But like why would she keep going back to him? It doesn't like I needed it to make sense to me. So at the I was playing with him at some point when we moved in here. I moved him in with us because I needed to figure out why would I bother. Like it needed to make sense to me in my gameplay and my story. So I realized that it's because he's just like her. Like he's not constantly like um he's just always looking for new things. He's always trying to expand his mind and advance himself in skill. So he's just like her, and I think that that would have drawn her to him. They're the same. So I moved him in, and he's here, but he's not here. So in the sense of like Mindy loves her children, but she doesn't know how to take care of them fully. So she kind of just has them like she gives them everything that they could need, and then with like very minimal of her time. And that's just because she doesn't know how. She was an only child. She didn't have any siblings, so she doesn't actually know how to interact with other children. Like it's been so long since she was a child, and because her mom wasn't actually able to be there with her, um so she couldn't really like help her out with the kid, which it's supposed to be a according to the rules it would have ended up that way, but because, as I said, Mindy had Raquel as an adult, so by the time Raquel turned into an adult and was ready to have her own child, Mindy she already passed away, so she was never able to help her daughter out, which made things complicated because your Sims Generation Yellow is supposed to be really close to their grandparent, but then we couldn't. So good thing I had twins. It was a little bit confusing, but now they are each other's best friends. Um, so yeah, so I had this character move in with us, and he was just like her. They chasing after career, chasing after new things, wanting to learn new things. So they had a relationship with their child, but it was never gonna be as good as it could have been if they were not constantly pursuing something else. Like their kids were not number one for them. They were always distracted by something, and it's something that happened to both of them. So that's the reason why I allowed him to like move in once I realized like I moved him in, but if it didn't I don't think if I reached that realization or if I didn't come up with some reason for this to work between them, then I would have had to move him out even though I didn't want to. So it made sense to me because I needed to follow the rules. Like this character generation, the next generation is meant to be fully like a loner and just like into their own thing, kind of like left to their own devices. So I felt that it was really great that the dad and the mom were constantly like with their minds on something else. So yeah. Another thing is I want to mention about the build since I spent all this time talking about what I've been doing in my gameplay. When I created this build originally, this is the second time I'm doing it, as I said, for furnishing purposes. In my original build, I used a lot of CC. So there was a lot of items that I was able to squeeze here and there. This bedroom, the only thing that's the same is that walk-in closet. And the yellow bedroom was much bigger because I had twins, so that meant that the living space was actually a lot smaller. But I had like a lot of family photos in the apartment. So That made it super fun and super nice. And I got that idea from Machiavelli. He said like he was doing a build and he was like the thing for him that makes the apartment like personalized is not all the stuff that you buy out of the gallery and put on the walls. It's all the stuff that it like the pictures that your family takes. So I thought that was really interesting. So in my original creation, that's what I did. I have like family pictures everywhere. Raquel with her mom, and then with her kids, and then with her kids' dad, which is the dad that the character that I move in, the redheaded Sim character. And as you can see here, I have like this. I put this mint in the bedroom. It's a reminder of her mom, and then I found that yellow to red and red feather painting, which is like for me a representation of Rose and then her children. So from one generation to the next. I did the same with that kind of like beige red carpet. I was able to introduce red into the room, into the yellow room. And then I kept the mint into Raquel's bedroom because she loved her mom, and so it just reminds her of her mom. And she kind of, since I did that combination once she was with her mom, so we had mint and red in the second house that she lived in. She kind of just has some mint color things in the house. I didn't actually do that in this build because the layout was slightly different, but it caused like massive change in the way that I furnished certain things. So I didn't add those other, like those mint things. She had this huge green science painting that it was in her house, in her mom's house, that I didn't put in this one, because there are Sims living in this home, so I wasn't able, and I never put the cheats in. Like, I'm just gonna use what's here and do my best, and then I'm just like, why didn't I open the cheats? Like, why? I could have had so many more items available to me, but I never do that. Even the move objects cheat, I never turn it on until I really need to squeeze something together. And it's just like, why do I keep doing this to myself? But I keep doing it to myself. I just do. But the layout is basically the same. Like the bathroom was there, the kitchen is where it is. The dining room was a little different. I struggle a lot with every dining room because I don't feel like the chairs always match the table. And it's not just that they look good together, it's colors. Like there are some that you can just tell they belong together, but if you try to like swap them out, it's like they don't have the palette that I need, and then it makes things really frustrating. So I always get upset when I'm doing my dining room, and it's just very frustrating. Also, I don't think I used any CC in this build. If I'm gonna share something and I think someone might want to use it for whatever reason, I don't do the best builds, but I'm sharing all of my apartments. I just want to just throw that out there. You just have to replace a few walls, like where the doors are. I usually remove those walls. That way it's easier, and you know where where the door is. Um, but yeah, I forgot what I was saying again. Holy smokes! Oh yeah, that I've shared my builds. Okay. So we're reaching the end of the video. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will speak to you again next time. Bye.